Welcome everybody to a special edition of Who Got Next. We are normally on Fridays providing the best NXT coverage out there from the UK to the USA. But this is a special episode, our first interview with an NXT superstar, with a friend. I am proud to welcome on one of the newest NXT superstars, the King of Bros, Matt Riddle. Matt, thank you for joining me on the show. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, bro.
We're going to talk about a lot of good stuff. We're ready for it?
I'm ready.
It's going to be a good time. So, Matt, you are making your debut on the Who Got Next podcast, as you should say.
I've been making a lot of debuts this year.
You have been.
It's been a good year for the bro and debuts.
It has been. So let me ask you this, because Twitter was a little bit confused when you said the butt instead of debut. So where did the butt come from? Was it something you kind of came up with?
Well, if you actually look at how it's spelled D-E-D and then B-U-T, butt. So I think I'm actually pronouncing the word correctly. I do know it's pronounced debut. I just think, it should be pronounced the butt.
Well, I'm going to agree with you on that one, and it's a unique way to pronounce it, and a lot of people are kind of behind that now. Whenever anybody makes a debut, it's now a debut, so I think you started a trend throughout wrestling Twitter, and I'm happy to be a part of that trend with this episode. First real question that we're going to get into is something that I am taking very seriously at the moment. A few weeks ago, you went to NXT Tampa. I don't think you wrestled on that show, but after that you did go to your Instagram and post a very special picture from a eatery known as IHOP. Yeah. You tried, or I believe you tried, the Grinch pancakes. So the question is, did you try the Grinch pancakes, and what were your thoughts on those, the holiday promotion that they're doing?
So, International House of Bros, the green pancakes, they were delicious. They were Grinch inspired, I believe. And it was a good time. Good people, good pancakes, good times. And you can never go wrong with green.
And IHOP is definitely your preferred eatery when it comes to breakfast foods.
IHOP? I don't know.
Do you have another one?
Definitely not Waffle House. Definitely not going to a Waffle House. But I like Denny's too. I like the IHOP. I like them all. They're well rounded,
It is. It's a lot of good stuff at
these breakfast I like the diners. There's some good diners, We
have some good stuff on the road down here in Florida. Next up, this week you did the battle for the PC supremacy. It was all over the PC's Twitter and Instagram. I think it's also going up on their YouTube channel, although nothing is posted. A lot of people are confused, not exactly sure what it is. So can you explain to the listeners what the battle of the PC was, what you guys did? Was it fun? Did you enjoy it? All that good stuff.
I would imagine you could sum it up as a team building exercise. The whole week was kind of, good. It was about equality, empowerment, and team building. And at the last day, it was a competition, but it was friendly competition.
Was it just one day or was it multiple days?
It was one day. We picked our teams like the day before, and then the competition was one day. It's not like we had a lot of time to prepare, and we gave ourselves the spots we played. And the first part was in the gym, and there were like relay races, puzzles, stuff like that. Kind of like almost like road rules, real world challenge kind of stuff, but in the PC. So it was a good time. It was a lot of fun, and then we finished up in the park.
So how are those teams chosen? Did the captains choose, or somebody else had just kind of put you guys on teams?
It was random they had team captains, but I think in the WWE we work as a democracy, so there was voting, and everything worked smooth. I don't think any team had any, or maybe there was. Our team was good.
Who is your team captain? What team were you on?
Shayna was our team captain, and I'll say this: Shayna's extremely competitive. I knew probably going into the competition, she would lie, cheat, steal, do what she had to do. The thing about Shayna is that's who Shayna is in real life. But it was a good time, and yeah.
And you're very competitive too, so that was a nice match right there.
I think everybody at the PC is pretty competitive because, wrestlers are pretty competitive because you want to be the best, have the best match. And then when you get, like, other athletes, like CrossFit champions and, like, volleyball, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're a competitive athlete, you're a competitive athlete, and you're usually competitive about almost everything,
So did you guys have a team name or matching T-shirts or anything like that?
I know we were the Team of Spades.
Okay.
So the Team of Spades, that's what I was a part of.
I'm surprised it wasn't a Star Wars theme name or something if Shayna was picking it, because I know she's big on Star Wars.
She likes the Star Wars. I think a lot of people like the Star Wars. I feel like that's what brings some people down here to Orlando. That and some wrestling, maybe school.
That's why I'm down here, and it's benefiting big time. I've had a great time.
There's advantages for sure.
They're definitely building that Star Wars world in Disney too, so that'll be done later this year.
They are. And for you guys listening, that is our buddy Dylan who helped set up this interview. Thank you for Dylan. He does a great job of helping Matt out, helping me out down here. Great friend. So you'll hear his voice throughout the show. Thank you again, Dylan, for helping us with this interview. So, Matt, speaking about this PC, we hear a lot of things, mostly good things about this PC, about what it's like, what they have in there. So what's the PC like when you've gone in there for the first time and now that you've been there for a couple weeks, a couple months? What can you tell us about the PC that's different than a normal gym or any other wrestling facility?
Well, it has all the equipment, it has all the rings, the kit and caboodle, it has all that, but you can go other places and it has that, but I would say it's it's kind of like wrestling itself. It's really unpredictable. Like every week they bring in different coaches. Like Shane Helms comes in randomly all the time, and they have like Brian Fury. Like they have they have random coaches from all around the country and world coming in all the time, helping out, teaching classes and doing stuff. And they're always doing tryouts. They did tryouts this past Thursday and Friday. I think they were posting about it on their Instagram and stuff. So like the place never stops moving. So I think that's one thing. It's not just like a training facility. It's like it's huge. It's just like a center for activity for the WWE and NXT.
It's a wonderland for all the NXT superstars there.
Yeah, every day is something crazy. Like some days you go in there and there's Charlotte fighting Becky, right? Like didn't that happen like a couple weeks ago?
So let's talk about that. What was that like? Did you guys know that?
There.
Oh,
no,
we don't get a first-hand account.
I think I was driving to one of the shows or something.
Yeah, I think I think me and Dylan were on the road for something. So yeah, we talked about it with JJ. So. I guess you missed that one. Next question. So you went to your first road tour last week in that Green Bay area. I think you did Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, and one more. Milwaukee. Okay. So what was your first out-of-state tour like with NXT?
It was sweet. I did take over in LA, but I didn't get to do the whole loop. I only did a Special Olympics thing. And then I just did the takeover match that only lasted about 6 seconds. So I really didn't do too much on that.
Well, you got the victory, so that's really what matters.
That's all that mattered. One of the fastest knockouts in NXT. But this road loop was awesome. I got to wrestle some good matches. I was happy to open up a lot of the shows. Because that's a really good spot, especially on the road loop, because you kind of set the pace for the show. And you guys know how I work in the ring. I definitely want to set a pace. So it was great. Every crowd was white hot. Like, the crowd last night in Orlando was good. But, like, after wrestling in front of, like 300 last night, but then there was like 5,000 the other day, and they're just like going crazy for stuff, and it's like
the bro chants just raining down at that point.
It was crazy. It's crazy. The Midwest is a good place to wrestle. You got a huge fan base up there for NXT.
And I know you have a Northeast tour coming up. I think that's in February, if I'm correct. I think they're doing Toms River, Poughkeepsie, New York. So if you're in that Northeast area where Matt's wrestled before, definitely go get some tickets. And
am I going to be on that tour, you think?
I think so. I mean, you did this one.
I mean, I did this last one. I'm pretty decent. The bro seems pretty over everywhere I go.
You'll probably be at the one at the beginning of January, Atlanta, South Carolina, North Carolina.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think you'll be on most of those tours. So if you're looking at NXT tour tickets anywhere throughout the United States, I am sure that Matt will be on those tours.
I'm pretty sure. I'm really hoping they put me on that tour. I know I have a couple buddies. There's like another tour in California, I think, shortly after that.
I think is that January? That's like the Arizona tour?
I think that's
before Phoenix.
I think it's the end of January.
Yeah.
The one before TakeOver.
I think it's in like San Diego maybe and Nevada, something like that. Yeah.
Well, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So that's at the end of January. Yeah. There you go.
Go back to my stomping grounds.
Yeah, you're going right to Vegas, and the next tour is in the Northeast.
Would be great. So get some good food. Get some all-you-can-eat sushi.
That's the Matt Riddle tour right there. Good. So definitely go out and see the King of Bros if you get the chance.
Why would I even talk to that guy? He's not worth my time.
So Matt, we know that they do these out-of-state tours, and they also do these Florida Loop tours, the Coconut Loop, and they'll also do Miami, Jacksonville. So talk to me about these Florida tours. What are they like? Do you enjoy them? What's a Florida house show like for a listener that hasn't been able to come down to Florida yet for one of these house shows?
I really enjoy the Florida house shows. It's one thing I like about the Indies that I was worried about I'd lose going to like NXT or WWE. Is like that personal ability, but like on NXT, like at these house shows, they're smaller crowds, 300 people. I mean, sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they are 1,000, depending on the venue and building and where we're running. But most of the time they're like probably like 300 to 500, 600 people, which isn't huge, but in the right size room is electric enough, and it lets you connect with people. You can connect with like 20,000 people, but it's easier to connect with like 500 in a room, and it also translates. So when you do work bigger crowds and you connected with 500 in one room, now you can connect with like 5,000 or 10,000.
Right, and there's a lot of people local to Florida like us that will go to a majority of these house shows. You can see them more often. Mm-hmm. They're cheering your name, buying merchandise. Hopefully, some more Matt Riddle merchandise, official NXT merchandise, comes out at some point.
We'll see. I don't know. One day.
Flip-flops. I mean, if those flip-flops happen,
we'll all agree on something, and I'll get some merch out there. I think eventually they're just going to put something out there, and they're like, we don't care if you like it. I'm like, all right.
Listen,
but it's cool.
We've seen some god-awful shirts. The Neville one just comes to mind. Did you see that one from like a year or two ago?
I didn't.
Can you pull that up, Dylan?
Yeah, I've heard some things about some of it, but I just want to make sure, and I know you just want to be you,
right?
And you don't want to like put something out there that you'll like that I don't like,
mm-hmm.
So that's it,
And if you don't like it, the fans probably won't like it either. I mean, one guy I like to pull from is Elias. Elias's merch is fantastic. It seems like every time they put out a shirt for him, the fans are happy to buy it, or even Undisputed Era, like fans go nuts for that merch. And then there's other superstars that they want to support, but the merch isn't there, so it's a good connection between the wrestler and the fan. Dylan's looking for the Neville shirt right now that said King of the Cruiserweights. Is in like 12-point Times New Roman font. He'll find it at some point, but we will move on to the next question. So I want to talk about your takeover. Yeah, that's it. Show Matt. Matt's looking at the Neville shirt right now.
Oh, it just says it?
It just says Neville, King of the Cruiserweights in Times New Roman font.
Alright. It's not, I guess it's not the worst shirt, but it's definitely not the greatest.
Oh, one day we gotta do.
It could have more characters. There could be a design.
It doesn't even have 1-star review. It has half a star.
That's pretty bad.
It's half a star.
It's only $5 though. I think it's worth the fabric.
It's a bargain.
Yeah, that's a super bargain.
Gotta do a.
I guarantee he sells more shirts now as Pac,
it's not available,
right?
He might. I don't know if he's merchandise out yet. I don't know. Maybe like a pro wrestling tee store or something.
It, he looks jacked.
He has a big match with, who was it, Ospreay at the beginning of the year, right?
Repro.
Yeah, it's a big one coming up. Matt, let's talk a little bit about your TakeOver debut, but before we talk about the one in LA, I believe you were already on a TakeOver a little bit last year. The cameras caught you. So which TakeOver was this? I believe it was the San Antonio one.
Well, that was a couple years ago.
That was Brooklyn.
No.
Was it Brooklyn? I thought it was San Antonio Rumble
I did my
weekend.
TakeOver debut as like in the crowd, like officially on their camera this past August.
Yeah.
Right? For SummerSlam
That was
weekend.
at Brooklyn 4, yeah.
Yeah. But I did an earlier one before that. I was sitting behind Tyler Bate, and I photobombed him years ago.
And the internet caught it, and it's like a meme at this point.
So I've made multiple debuts for NXT and takeovers and stuff. So
did you know the camera was there? Or how did you know that you'd be caught on camera?
So I've done some work in the UFC, live fights and stuff, and you can always tell when a camera goes live because a red light usually lights up on it. I think it's for multiple reasons. One, for the camera guy to know it's active, and two, for the person that's being filmed knows it's active. So I was sitting a couple rows back with my one buddy. They moved Tyler in front of us to put a camera in front of him. And I was like, hey, if that light goes red on that camera, it's live, so we can do whatever we want. And, of course, the camera went red, and, having fun, drinking some beers, took my opportunity to, put him on Tyler Bate.
And made your WWE debut on camera.
And funny thing is, I was supposed to wrestle him a couple of weeks later in England, but then I believe the WWE pulled him from that match and that show.
And you wrestled him since then?
Or he might have still wrestled on the show and just not me.
Have you wrestled him since then, or no?
Yeah, multiple
Okay.
times. For Progress. I've wrestled him. I wrestled him not too long ago when Progress was wrestling with Evolve.
Okay.
And we did that tour. It was pretty sick.
And now with NXT UK, I mean, maybe we see an opportunity at some point.
I was talking to NXT UK, and they mentioned something about the bro coming over, maybe. And I was like, hey.
They love you in the UK.
I love the UK. The UK loves me. If we can keep it moving, keep it going, I wouldn't mind being... I know Fabian's doing it. Fabian, a guy like that's everywhere. He's NXT UK, NXT, Evolve. He's the Evolve champion. It's crazy.
For NXT UK, let's talk about that for a second. What are your thoughts on NXT doing this developmental brand? And I know there's been some fans that aren't happy about the British indie scene and all that. And NXT UK just started out. I know the episodes haven't been, they haven't all been 5-star episodes. They're still starting out. But do you see this being successful for the WWE? Is it something that you think fans will really be invested in? I know that they have their first takeover event, NXT TakeOver UK Blackpool on January 12th. So what are your overall thoughts with NXT UK?
I like NXT UK. I think the one dilemma with NXT UK, and it's the reason why NXT does so well, and NXT UK will also do well. The UK scene is on fire, but you need to bring in outside athletes.
So by outside, do you mean like bringing you in, like Fabian in from the USA, like Dakota did?
Well, Fabian's from he's European. I think he's from Italy, so it's he's still from that part of the world. Like if you bring Keith Lee or me in or Ricochet into the UK, I think you launch the UK brand to a higher spectrum. Just like when you bring Pete Dunne over against Ricochet in NXT.
Yeah.
Like why don't they do that match at NXT UK? You don't think the UK crowd would go insane?
Well, they go nuts.
Exactly. So why wouldn't you book it? And it's not downplaying the UK talent, but you work together, It's two different brands, but we're still under the same umbrella. Mm-hmm. And there's more matches. And then there's matches you can have, just 5-star matches, that don't affect your rankings in the NXT UK brand.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
You could bring you over, you could bring Tommaso
over.
over.
You could bring me over, have sick title defenses, build up a champion.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
Mm-hmm. It's a great idea.
Or maybe I win the belt for whatever. Or maybe I run with it. Hey, I've done it with Progress before.
Why not? Bring it back to the USA and run with it on the live events like Rhea's doing with the
But I think
women's title.
I think the UK NXT is going to pick up, though, because I'm pretty sure they signed Walter.
That's
public
they haven't
knowledge.
confirmed that, but everybody else has basically confirmed it. So
I can't confirm it either. I haven't talked to Walter. I've talked to Marcel, but Marcel hasn't confirmed it either. But
it's pretty much
I'm pretty sure. And if once Walter steps in, it's a certain level of competition.
Yeah.
I think that they're lacking right now.
He might be the guy to beat Pete Dunne, too.
So real quick, do you have an opinion? Who do you think should be Pete Dunne? If it's not you, you're a great option. But if it's a UK guy or somebody in that company, do you have somebody who you think is a good option?
It should probably be Walter. If they bring Walter in, it should be Walter. If it's not him, maybe Fabian. I mean, Fabian's been on a rise there, hasn't he?
He had 2 real good matches against Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster the past 2 weeks.
So, I mean, I know they would kill it. It's all circumstance, It's all crowd reaction, seeing what's happening, and like you said, it's a new brand, and you just gotta wait and see.
Right.
You never know. Who knows? Maybe I just show up and challenge somebody.
There you go.
Never know.
You don't.
Maybe I win the Royal Rumble this year and beat the Beast at WrestleMania. Who knows? You don't know. We never know.
We will talk about that in a second. I want to bring things back to TakeOver.
Maybe that doesn't happen. Who knows?
We'll see. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4, you appeared in the crowd, and there were rumors a month before that you had signed. I think people had gotten this idea that you were going there, but obviously nobody's 100% sure of anything until it's on the screen and we see you on the screen.
No, I'll
going
say this,
nuts.
for WWE, nothing's official.
Plans change.
Plans change all the time. TakeOver's a perfect example. I was not scheduled to have a match on Take
With Ono.
Not at all. And things changed.
Right.
You know?
So what was that like, Brooklyn Forge? The hot crowd, I don't know if you know, but the Brooklyn Takeover is extremely special to the fans, to Triple H being the first ever at a Full Sail Takeover. Every year it seems like a really special event. So to have you there just makes you feel like a bigger star. At least in my opinion, I'm biased because I do love those Brooklyn Takeovers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it like appearing in front of that crowd?
Why we did it that month, because we were possibly going to do it the same month that Heath Lee did it in Chicago. I think it was like a month before, maybe, because it was already being discussed, and they were like, no, wait till the Brooklyn one, because the Brooklyn one,
that's the big one.
Because I think the day we actually talked was like the day before that takeover, and they were already debuting Keith, and like, let's just debut them both.
Yeah.
And I think Gabe was the one who was like, no, let's wait till Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Which was a smarter move, because that's where I made my debut for Evolve. Debut for Evolve.
So what was that crowd like? What was that reaction like, being there in the crowd when they put the camera on and flashed your name?
It was good. You know what it was? At first, like, I see the cameras on me, and I'm waiting for the reaction. I'm like, there's no reaction. Like, oh no, like this isn't good. But then my picture popped up on the big screen. Second that happened, crowds just lost it, and it was good. Actually, I was watching that Arrival series that they did on me, and they had like 30 different camera angles from me, just watching everybody pop from my my face. It was pretty insane.
Did Triple H like your flip flops with your suit?
Yeah,
because the internet did. The internet loved it.
He enjoyed it. I mean, you can't like. He's a wrestler. I think that's why he's in a great spot, because he's a worker and he knows what it's like. So he gets it, and I think he knows where I'm coming from. It's like, I think some people, if they did this, it would be disrespectful, but I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. It's just who I am. And when he saw me with my hats and flip flops, he was just like, "Oh, so you wore your hat and your flip flops?"
And we saw that on the Arrival series.
And I was like, "Yep, I'm ready to go." Or he's like, "Do you have shoes?" I was like, "Oh, my flip flops are over there." And he's like, "Cool."
So kicking things to LA against Cassius Ohno, was that the biggest crowd that you've performed in front of?
Wrestling wise, yes, not fighting wise.
Okay.
I found the UFC. I found like the Stampede Center. I found some big facilities with a lot of bands, like the Bell Center in Montreal. There's like a couple, like 20, 30,000, like big crowds.
So I know it was pretty quick, but what was it like opening up Takeover? I mean, the internet didn't know, so like we were shocked, and we were happily shocked to see it.
You know what it was? It wasn't even the match itself. The match was fun. The excitement, the energy with that was great. But for me, it was walking out, getting the mic, and just standing there, and the crowd just going crazy while
it was a great promo. Just
standing there. That's when I knew. I looked around, and I was like, "Oh, I'm here."
You made it.
I'm here.
You made it. You know? And the theme song's great too. So
yeah, I love my
Let's
music.
ask you about that. How did the theme song come about? Did you have any part in that? Did they just throw it at you?
I did not write the music, but I basically told them exactly what I wanted, because they sent me a couple things, and it was more. They weren't terrible beats, but I was like, you know what, I messaged them back. I was like, this is what I want. I want like a 90s hip hop West Coast, like Dr. Dre kind of beat vibe, and I want it to sound. I want like instruments, like, you know, like brass instruments and stuff like that. From like you ever hear the intro to GTA 5? You know, and he's like, yeah, you know, so. Basically, we took like a Dr. Dre beat, GTA kind of like instrumentals, like because you can't, the way I look at it and like the way I look at myself, it's like, I don't know, that just make the perfect sense. And then they threw some bros in there.
And it's very catchy. A lot of people enjoy it. It's a nice pump-up song. Speaking of pump-up, the Full Sail crowd. A lot of people praise the Full Sail crowd. It's different than other crowds. They're a smart crowd. They know when to chant, what to chant. So what are your thoughts on the Full Sail crowd? You've appeared there, I think, 2 or 3 times. I think you've had 3 matches there. What's different about that crowd than any other crowd that you've been a part of, or is it similar to other crowds?
It's a super hard-working crowd. And the reason I say that is because that Full Sail crowd, we'll do like 4 tapings in a day, 4 different shows in one day.
And sometimes that first real big segment is just like that Alistair when Johnny was reveals the attacker, like that was like the high point. Just after that, the crowd kind of fizzled out a little bit.
It's hard to get up and up and up after that. Me and Punisher were talking, Martinez were talking the other day, and I was like, we're both like, you know what they should probably do? They should just do when they do a taping, they should just do 2 a month, because they do a taping once a month. They should just do 2 a month on a Wednesday, and then it'd just be just half the amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the crowd would still be there, because I think at the end of the last one, the last match that was happening, because you guys were there.
Yeah.
The last match that was happening.
We could talk about that because this show's not coming out for another week, so we could talk about the cage match.
Okay, yeah, that cage match was a brutal one,
yeah.
And I felt like the crowd.
People were out of it.
Well, how could you?
Well, but you know what? That taping was so good,
match,
though.
But it was you saw so much wrestling and I and then even the opener, I felt like I got one of the loudest pops, and we only had a 4-minute match.
Yeah.
But that was a moment though,
Mm-hmm.
and once you had oh man,
the crowd was hot for you. The crowd was hot for Undisputed against Heavy Machinery. The crowd was hot for the cage match.
They were
the
hot
whole
for
night.
Punishment, too.
Even Punishment, yeah, but
Yeah.
that was the opener. The
And
crowd was
then,
supposed
and then
to
I had
be
another
hot.
match with Cash.
You got knocked out first.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, I think we can. We could talk about that.
Maybe.
The match with Cassius that appears, I think it's 2 weeks, maybe 1 week, but another one that the crowd was very hot for.
Yeah.
So,
but I've been wrestling Cassius all over on house shows and stuff because he won't leave me alone. So.
Yeah, you gotta knock him out and just send him somewhere.
That's it.
I've seen me and James.
It was the same on the indies between me and him.
Mm-hmm.
The best one was the Lakeland one.
The Lakeland one was probably your first one in NXT at least. It was a real good one.
Second house show.
Yeah. So let's talk about this mini documentary on the Performance Center. Was that your idea? Was it their idea? Because this PC channel on YouTube just kind of popped up out of nowhere. And this Arrival series is really good, especially for people that don't know who you are, kind of questions about you as a person, as a wrestler, and they kind of get to know you, your family, and your kind of trip. So how did that come about?
They're like, we want to work with you. And then they're like, hey, would you mind if we filmed you?
So did you have a camera crew the whole way when you were coming down?
Yep, camera crew, my buddy Jimmy and Andrew. Basically, it was I did the takeover. They filmed me at takeover. We met up a couple days. They filmed me loading up all my stuff into the U-Haul and stuff like that. And then they filmed me stopping at the Monster Factory. And then on the way down, stopping at a beach at 6 o'clock in the morning, swimming. What they didn't see, because they were in bed, is Amy called the police on the hotel phone, and the hotel woke us up because we were all passed out, because we were driving all night. Crazy story. But then we hung out at the beach, and then we drove to Orlando, filmed all that, and then yeah.
Okay, so this
and now they've still been filming.
Okay,
still.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see more of it.
It hasn't stopped. The Arrival series is just going to keep going, I believe.
So I highly recommend anybody out there that hasn't seen it, go to the WWE PC page on the WWE YouTube channel, or it's their YouTube channel at least, and you will see Matt's mini documentary series. This question is from our co-host MJ, who is joining the show in 2019. She's also a parent. She has a young son. So her question is, as a parent, how is it moving your family over to a new place, and how did your daughters feel about it?
And son.
And son. She forgot the son part.
No worries.
Sorry, Zach.
Lisa was stoked about moving. I don't know. My ideal place to move isn't Florida, per se. I'm not a humid, hot guy. I prefer dry heat. But it was fine. The girls, Allison wasn't the happiest, but she really likes her Nana, loves Nana, and she lives in Pennsylvania.
And she was in the documentary, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom was in, that's Nana. My mom was in the documentary, and Allison, of course, is in the documentary. But so she wasn't the happiest about moving. But Amy, who cares? She didn't care. She was stoked. We got a nice place. They're happy. We live less than a mile from the school, so we can walk there, ride bikes there. We live in a neighborhood. Before, we kind of lived in the country, on a farm. There's a cornfield in the back.
And how have they adapted now after 3 months or so? Are they happy now with everything?
They're stoked.
It's
They're
awesome.
happy. Allison's doing gymnastics down the street. Amy's kind of like me, just does her own thing.
There you go.
Zach plays video games, and
How's Lisa looking at?
Lisa loves it. As long as she can work out and be around me, she's pretty happy. So
And you get more time with your family down here now. So
I'm here, I'm home a lot. I mean, until I go to main roster and beat the beast.
yeah,
you know?
that'll happen at some point. Dylan has been waiting a long time.
Dylan.
This interview's fun. We're having a good time here.
Hey, you're supposed to have a good time during it.
So this one isn't.
What we're doing is we're going to do a little Would You Rather segment.
Before we do that, I don't think.
I don't want to do
Before we go into the Would You Rather, we have one question that really I don't think belongs in that. Is how did your MMA training help you for your wrestling career?
That wasn't in the Would You Rather, but you could answer that now. It might have sent wrong. So the question is, how did your MMA training help your wrestling career in any way? Because we see Shayna, Jessamine Duke, Marina Shafir, our friend Izzy is now going to the MMA training now. So how do you think it helps a performer to have that MMA background? Or does it hurt it in any way?
I mean, it can definitely hurt. It hurts it in selling. And when MMA fighters go into pro wrestling and you tell them to, like, take a punch and, like, sell around the ring, they don't know what that means. I mean, they see it, but to actually do it and do it well is extremely hard, you know? And so I think that's the hardest thing for MMA fighters. The moves, that's easy, you know? And the other big thing MMA fighters have a hard time with is speed. You know, we're used to going fast. We're used to being sneaky. We don't want people to see our next move.
So you have to slow up a little bit.
So in wrestling, when you do a flying knee is not like a realistic move in every MMA fight. But in pro wrestling, flying strikes are almost a guarantee. You know, so you kind of like you want to put on a show. You want people to see your strikes, especially at a house show where there isn't like an instant replay. You're not at home watching it like that. You know, there's not a big Titantron. The only way you can see it is like firsthand live.
Yeah.
So.
And
you got to make it count, and that's why I pride myself and I love the indies so much, and that's why if you're not good, you will never make it on the indies. I feel like even if you're bad in WWE with camera angles and everything else, they can actually make you look better than you are. On the indies, you have to beat people up, which it was easy for me. So my MMA background helped in that fashion.
And it must have been hard for someone like Ronda to adapt putting in the armbar for real compared to WWE, you know.
Well,
without trying to break someone.
Just don't put it in the.
There's certain techniques though, because technically if you do an armbar and you don't do one step properly, it still looks like you're doing an armbar, but you won't break it. You know, because you gotta pinch your hips, you gotta hold it like a baseball bat, hug it, you gotta have the thumb pointing up. So if you change any of those little things, technically the arm's not gonna break.
Right. All right, Dylan. Let's do.
It won't hurt though. You know, if somebody's cranking your arm, they're cranking your arm.
Let's do this Would You Rather segment with Matt. I know you have a couple of them.
Yes. Would you rather get chopped by Keith Lee or Walter?
Well, I've been chopped by both. And Keith Lee does the double hand chop, which is pretty intense. He has made my chest bleed. He made my chest bleed at PWG. Double chopped me and blood just started pouring down my chest. Walter has also chopped me. I've been in many wars with Walter in the UK and Germany. And Walter's also scarred my chest and made my chest bleed. So, who would I rather get chopped by? Neither. Neither of those. But neither. I was going to do it maybe. And this is why, Walter commits a little harder, I think. But Keith uses two hands. So, I think if Keith, really tried to kill me, his would probably be worse. But Walter's is probably worse because he has... And Walter has really good technique with the one arm. He steps back, steps forward, uses his body weight, and he has a good clap with it, you know?
Right.
It's intense.
Next one,
stuff.
Dylan.
Would you rather compete in a TLC match or a steel cage match?
We're going to see both in the next week. TLC's tomorrow and the cage match with Johnny is Wednesday.
Yeah, I've been in a cage match. Cage matches are fun, you know. But for me, it's something I'm so used to, so I don't seem it's not too exciting for me because I fought in a cage in the UFC. So I'd rather do a TLC, you know, because I think that'd be super cool. Hit a fisherman buster or a bro stone off the ladder.
Yeah.
Next up, Dylan.
Would you rather get hit by a steel chair or put through a table?
In the WWE. So we're going to limit this to
Is
WWE tables and chairs.
Is the table in the ring?
Let's do in the ring. Tables in the ring and it's a steel chair.
Shot, is it to the back?
Yes.
Okay.
Both are to the back, we'll say.
Neither's actually too bad. You know, the thing is, last time I got cracked hard in the back with a chair, Shane Strickland did chop off part of my pinky, just the tip of it. Because it was a plastic chair, and piece broke off and just chopped off the top of my nail and finger. But, so right now I'm saying table. I'd rather do a table.
All right, we saw on the Performance Center Instagram the video of you hitting the baseball and running the bases. So if you weren't in wrestling or UFC, would you rather play baseball or football?
Definitely not football, because I remember growing up and people were like, oh, you should play football. And I was like, why would I play anything where there's people way bigger than me and they're all trying to hit you at one time. And like you're wearing a helmet where you can't see, you're like in blinders. I was like, that's just a liability.
Yeah.
And I had too many friends that got hurt playing football, like knee injuries, broken arms, broken hands, just like little things, but like it really holds your career back and everything else. So I just wrestled. But if I was gonna pick any other sport, it'd probably, like me and my brother were talking about, it'd probably be baseball. Because you can just, good hand-eye coordination, explosive athleticism,
Guaranteed contracts,
timing, guaranteed contracts. I didn't think about that.
Dylan, one more question you have, and this is the kicker one.
This is the $1 million question. Would you rather watch paint dry or Kona Reeves wrestle?
Kona Reeves, the finest.
Or Jeet. You should still Jeet in there.
What's up?
Jeet.
G, I know G.
Throw Jeet in that conversation too.
You like G?
He's fun. He's
fun.
He's fun.
I like him enough. But I like paint. I like some paint, but I do like wrestling. So to be nice, I think I'll watch Kona wrestle.
I'll give it to him. He's fun to boo. He's a lot of fun to boo. And Vanessa
and
is a lot of fun.
that's part of it. You gotta love to hate.
That's part of playing the role.
I remember that time Dan Matha called Vanessa a 9.4. And then Kona got him to change it to a 10, but it's always going to be a 9.4.
Always a 9.4. All right, Matt, I have one. Would you rather hats or headbands? I know you started off with the hats in NXT. You've been wearing a lot of headbands lately.
I have been. I still like the hats. I just don't have a hat. I need to get a couple bro hats made up or something like that. I was really hoping by now they would have got a hat.
They're slow. Give them some time.
Yeah, so I was just hoping I could do that. They gave me an NXT hat, which was fine. I wore that at TakeOver. But I don't think I just want to wear an NXT hat every time I wrestle, too, So I do like the hat, though. Headband's not bad, though, but I feel like a lot of people rock the headband. Like Velveteen rocks it, and a couple other people rock it. So we'll see.
Shameless plug, we will have hats coming out in the near future, Matt. We'd love to get you a hat at some point, just like the Rant With Ant one. So
I love it. I know Ant would always hook me up with a hat.
Yeah, we'll happily hook you up with a special hat.
I got a bunch of those still.
We'll happily give you one of those hats when they come out. All right, Matt, a couple more questions. We will wrap this up.
Sure.
First one, we have Keith Lee, Dominic Dijakovic, or Dijak, whatever we're going to call him at this point.
Double D,
and Punishment Martinez. All three of them are in NXT with you right now. What is it like being in NXT with these guys, all of you coming in within the span of 6 months or so and getting to do this experience with them, and it's not just you going up without a couple friends that you made over the years?
I mean, it's pretty cool. It's almost like you wouldn't think it would have happened that way, but because we've all had different paths, we've all been wrestling different amount of times and what have you, and we've all came in at slightly different times. I don't think any of us came in the same class. So, but it's super cool, and we're all on our own path and stuff, but yeah.
And the cool thing is,
really
you guys haven't really reached your full potential really in NXT. You're starting off, you're just on a TakeOver. It's amazing. Keith hasn't been on TakeOver. Dijak, Punishment. You're all kind of on the same track with that lower part. But as 2019 goes on, you could be that staple of NXT. All four of you could be fighting for all those titles: the nice new North American title, the NXT title. I mean, there are so many options for you to wrestle these guys, and it's just going to be a pleasure to watch throughout the next year. if you were to have a tag team partner in NXT, if you could choose somebody to go for those tag titles and take out the Undisputed Era, who are you going to choose? I know you worked with Johnny as Gargano Bro on a live event. You've worked with Punishment. You've worked with Stacey Irvin. If you were to pick somebody, who would you want to pick?
See, that's tough.
You could power rank them. You could do a couple people that you'd want to choose.
I mean, there's a lot of good people. Like, if I was going to do... Let's say this. I got a bunch. If I was going to do an intergender, I would want Justin and Duke on my team. I think, the brother-sister right there.
That's your mixed match challenge right there. Go beat Truth and Carmella and enter that Royal Rumble.
And then what is it now? That's who I'd want to tag with that way. I like Keith. We tagged, but when we tagged once, we lost. So I don't know if we were great. Huh?
Who did you guys lose to?
Dickinson and Giacobbe. There was miscommunication, where we hit each other.
Basking the Bros, that could be the...
Oh, it was good.
It's a good answer. You and Keithley would totally kill it against Undisputed. Maybe that's the team to take them out.
But Ultimate Punishment, that's what me and Luis were. Punishment were.
And you guys do a good job on those live events tagging together.
Yeah, we have fun. But I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
This is a question a lot of
really
people have
trying to
asked.
get that Dusty Rhodes Classic, though, right?
I mean, it's got to come back at some point.
Yeah.
Enter it. This question has been asked by a lot of people who don't know a lot about you, and it's something that me and Dylan don't even know. We talked about it in the car. Why don't you wear boots in the ring? I know some people find it funny. Some people agree with it. Some people are like, why is he not wearing boots? So why is it that you choose to go barefoot in the ring?
It's the same reason why I don't tape anything or wear padding or anything like that. I conditioned my body where I don't need it. So, a lot of people wear shoes and pads and brace their knees and brace their arms and brace their wrists and do what they have to do. But they're just making themselves weaker. So when I started doing jiu-jitsu and everything, I stopped wearing shoes because you can't wear shoes, and you shouldn't, because if you wear them, people can heel hook you and submit you easier with your feet. So it's just a way to stay stronger, stay tough, and condition my body. And I think it hurts a lot more when I kick people with just my bone and flesh rather than a pad.
That's a fair answer. Can you tell the story of what happened at Wembley at your last indie show? It was the Progress. I think it's the Wembley show, if I'm correct, where you lost your flip-flop. You kind of posted it on your social media. So what's the story behind all that?
Okay, so I was pretty excited. Last Progress show, Wembley Stadium. The last time I was there was my last UFC
What was that crowd
fight.
like? Was it a big crowd? It's huge, right?
It's huge. Yeah, it was like 5,000, maybe more. But it was Wembley Stadium's where I had my last UFC fight. So I felt like it was homecoming full circle, So I come out and I was wearing more than usual. I had a hat, a jacket, a scarf, and the suplex.
Trying to pull an MJF with a scarf?
No, Progress scarf.
Okay.
Because it was my last show for Progress, and I've been their champ, and a bunch of, they love me there. So I'm like, might as well rap. So I go out there. So I hop out. The flip-flops go flying off. And I'm just so excited because the crowd's super hot. They're already chanting, bro, and all this stuff. So I kick them off right into the crowd, throw my scarf into the crowd, throw everything into the crowd as hard as I could, basically. I think I retweeted it. Somebody gifted it, and I retweeted it.
Is it JJ?
Maybe, probably.
Me too.
Yeah, it was a good entrance. I should probably wear more stuff.
Yeah.
It was but yeah, I got my one sandal back. I go, where's the other one? We couldn't find it. I think it went to the crowd. I'm like, well, you gotta ask for it.
What's the one rule of Progress?
Don't be a dick.
There you go.
And I was like, so I'm like, Jim, can you make an announcement? He's like, oh yeah. And he didn't make the announcement because it was, what's his name? It was his last match for Progress as well.
Keith?
No, Douglas. He's one of the older UK guys.
Okay.
Doug Marshall, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm bad with names.
So the flip-flops are gone.
So there's a big introduction for him, so they didn't, and then a big conclusion, so he forgot. And I'm like, dude, you have to ask. So that's when I started tweeting about it, and then it went, people were fucking sending it. I said the F word, but hey, but people were sending it out like crazy because they were like, hey,
bro needs his flip-flop bag.
And that's all I had with me too. And then, of course, they got it back. A fan had it.
The fan's trying to take it home.
But lately, if you notice, I've been kicking them into the crowd. I'm timing it perfectly for the front row. Mm-hmm. So people are usually just like...
And they're happy to catch it, and they're happy to throw it back. It's like a cool thing now.
And that's the thing. I think it's, as long as I don't peg anybody in the face with it. I remember the one house show I did. I don't remember where it was, but I did it, and my flip-flop cracked a lady right in the face. Oh, God. She was okay with it. I mean, she didn't do anything.
Well, you might want to be careful with that on the main roster. They're going to keep it.
Well, really, Brock Lesnar hit somebody with a door. Come on. You can get away with some stuff.
I don't know if you saw this at Full Sail a couple months ago. Kyrie was throwing the gold out, and her belt got loose, and she threw it into the crowd, and it landed in somebody's arms in the front row. That's a pretty dangerous variable if that belt smacked somebody in the face.
That belt's heavy.
Yeah.
The title belts are extremely heavy.
Yeah. We gotta get one on you in a couple months.
We'll see.
Hopefully. These next two questions come from my co-host Phil. He's also a co-host of the Rant With Ant podcast that you have talked to before on their show. Dylan's gonna ask this one for Phil.
What's your favorite video game of all time?
Of all time, I would say my favorite video game series of all time would have to be God of War. If I had to pick, it's a good one. The story itself, it's have you ever played God of War?
I played it once or twice.
Yeah, if you play God of War 1, I've played every single God of War. I've beat them on the hardest difficulties. They're great. The story is great.
The next question is also from Phil, a follow-up that Dylan is going to ask.
What games are you currently playing?
Right now, I got Berserk. It's a kind of like a Japanese anime video game where you fight hordes of enemies on battlefields. Got Fist of the North Star, which is also just a fight game where a guy uses pressure point techniques to make people explode from the inside out. And then of course I got Call of Duty 4, Red Dead Redemption 2, because the online just dropped for that. You guys should get that. We'll start a posse.
I have Call of Duty if you ever want to hop on. I know Dylan was on the other night.
I play zombies.
We got to hop on the zombies because that's my thing. So.
Okay,
we got to schedule a time to do that.
Let's do some zombies and let's do some Easter eggs because I'm trying to unlock some stuff.
That's what we're going to do. That's the plan is to do some Easter eggs.
Let's do it.
That's the plan. Dylan, one more.
Have you tried the new Super Smash Brothers?
I have not. I was going to get it, but everybody...
Did you guys play that at the PC?
We played during the
PC tournament challenge thing?
Yes, there was a Smash Brothers tournament.
Okay.
I wasn't allowed. Wasn't the person picked.
Oh, that's a shame.
See, that's the thing. I'm not I don't fight for it. So I don't think I did the most fun challenges throughout the day. At least I didn't do the eating or taste.
But you did get the win for your team, though.
Oh yeah, every time.
Let me guess who won the eating, real quick.
It wasn't eating. It was taste testing.
Tasting.
Otis.
No.
Well, this is tasting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if it was Otis. You talking about Doze?
Doze.
Yeah, Doze. That guy's a stud.
I love Doze. He's so much fun.
Amazing.
My favorite character in Super Smash is Samus.
Samus? I don't know who that is.
The guy that he shoots out the lightning or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, check it out.
He's like the cannon for her.
I got the Switch. I just
There we go. So this question is a little bit more serious. It's something that I have wanted to ask a superstar or a wrestler for a while because fans have or tend to use terminology and they tend to critique shows and performers and all this stuff. They some will use terms like buried or jobber and they'll bash Raw and just this whole thing. So I want to know from your perspective as a wrestler, how much critiquing do you think fans should do as fans? What words do you think they should or shouldn't use? Because it's a big thing online. As fans, we're technically paying customers, and if we support this company, we watch the product every week, and we want it to be better. But sometimes it does go a little bit more into the bashing side of things, and performers they're buried and they're jobbers and all this other stuff. So what's your opinion on the terms that are used by fans, and how much critiquing should they do as a fan to do that?
I personally don't mind it at all.
Okay.
This is entertainment. If somebody's in a movie or a TV show and it's bad, people are going to tell you. If it's good, they're going to tell you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think in sports entertainment, I think it's perfect. And the thing is, I think it's good. It means they're reacting. If they weren't complaining or they weren't happy with it, then damn, we need to do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, let fans be like, I'm not going to watch the network anymore. It's like, yeah, you are. We all do, and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't think it's not a big deal. It's just one of those things.
Okay, got it. This question is from our co-host MJ that is again going to join the show in 2019. Her question is, being where you are now, what advice would you give to your younger self? Is there anything you would change or not change about the roads that have led you here?
I don't think so. I think the only thing I would have changed is I wouldn't have got this tattoo.
Okay.
Which one?
I only have one.
Oh, the one on the chest.
Yeah, the rib, the mushroom on my rib.
Have you...
Not that it's like a terrible tattoo, but it's just like, I don't have any other tattoos. And I was in Las Vegas having a good time. It was after my second fight in the UFC. I was 2-0. I was like 22, and hey.
Have you thought about getting it removed?
I have, and I heard it's more painful than getting it, and getting it was so painful, I don't want to do it.
There you go.
If anything, if I was going to do anything, I'd probably add on to it and just get more artwork so you wouldn't notice the one mushroom.
Mm-hmm. All right, Matt, 2 more questions. The first one isn't really a question, but I want you to tell the world your dream scenario for the next year that you've talked about when it involves the Royal Rumble and the good old beast Brock. What is this dream idea that you like to talk about?
I personally, if we were living in a perfect world for the Bro, I think Bro would be invited after Takeover and Rumble
Phoenix.
Weekend. Yeah, Phoenix. They would just invite the Bro to the Royal Rumble. I would see Vince. I would nod graciously. I'd go into the Rumble. I would go out successful. He would come to see me, and then I would get the title shot against Brock, and that would be it. And then I would probably beat Brock there, but that wouldn't be enough. I would still want to retire him at the following WrestleMania.
See, I thought you told us that you'd rather lose first one.
Well, see, I always want to win.
Right.
But
we're talking about the dream scenario.
But I'll say this, dream scenario, I win. Realistically, Brock's track record, his first time against you, he usually destroys you. So I'm kind of being like, he might destroy me the first time.
At Mania.
It is Brock Lesnar. And I technically have never been in there with the Beast Incarnate. So who knows?
And then you do a big redemption story in the next
year. Then again, I have been in there with guys like Keith and other huge men, and I've been able to pick them up over my head, suplex them, deadlift them, do whatever I want to at my whatever. So
you could handle a couple
I'm
Germans.
pretty sure I could. And yeah, I'm really good at taking German suplexes. So
the following Mania, you could always have him put the title and his career on the line against your career.
No, not my career. His career. Maybe my hair.
Your hair.
Oh, that might be bad. No.
Can't lose that hair.
We'll see. Maybe I'll be champ by then. Maybe he loses it to somebody. I beat that somebody. Then he wins the Rumble.
He puts his career on the line.
And then to get the title, yeah, something like that.
Can't put the hair on the line.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Last question from me. What is the legacy that you want to live in NXT? These NXT fans, they have this vibe to them. It's like an underground type thing. It's a community. It's more like a family atmosphere. You think of Sami Zayn, his big run in NXT, what Bayley did, what Finn Balor did. It hits very close to home. And when these NXT superstars go to the main roster, the NXT fans are a little more protective of these superstars and aren't happy when they aren't shown right. So what is the legacy that Matt Riddle wants to live in NXT? What do you want to be known for about your time in NXT?
I don't know. What am I known for on the indies?
King Bros.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a different chapter for me. Just at NXT. And I don't know what I don't know what exactly I'll leave, what impression or how I'll leave, or if I ever leave.
If you ever leave.
Yeah, but I'm pretty stoked with how everything's going so far, and I think the rise is going to be pretty fast.
And we are set up for a great 2019 for NXT from Matt Riddle. Can't wait to see everything that happens. Dylan, first off, thank you so much for making this interview possible, helping us coordinate it, and for driving me all over the place. I can't thank you enough for that. Matt, thank you so much for coming on and joining us on our podcast, as JJ likes to call it, my shitty podcast. So thank you for bringing the King of Bros on the show. I know the listeners will appreciate it. Matt, where can people find you on social media? Anything you want to plug? Any shows coming up? The floor is yours.
I got the WWE PC on the YouTubes. That's a good time. They don't tell me when they drop these episodes.
We always drop them on the Twitter, so we'll tag you every time that they drop.
I usually find out when somebody else watches it and you're like, oh, another great video. I'm like, oh, I'll retweet that, So I wouldn't mind if people tuned into that, because like you said, I think it's good insight on me and reality and who I am. But of course, Instagram, Riddle Bro, Twitter, Super King of Bros, and then Facebook, Matthew Riddle. But I'm barely on the Facebooks these days. I'm more of a Twitter, Instagram guy. Just easier.
There you go. Thank you so much for joining us again, Matt. We really appreciate that you are welcome to join the show. Anytime in the future, you're welcome on our show, Ant's show, any of the Rant with Ant network show. Thanks again. We appreciate it.
No problem, Nick. You take care, bro.
Thank you guys for listening to this special edition. We appreciate it. We will see you on Friday for our normal show. We're out.